We cannot avoid aging, but the important thing is how to prevent this process from causing us to suffer from dangerous diseases that are common in the elderly. When entering the age of 60, the body begins to undergo many inevitable changes. Bones and joints gradually weaken, the immune system declines, and body functions do not work as effectively as before. However, one worrying thing is that diseases that are common in the elderly, especially cardiovascular diseases, stroke, diabetes, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's disease, can develop without obvious initial signs. 80% of the elderly will suffer from at least one of these 5 dangerous diseases if they do not change their lifestyle and take care of their health in time. You may think that you will not be among them, but the truth is that many elderly people are not aware of the risk factors that are silently attacking their health. Therefore, it is extremely important to understand these diseases and how to prevent them. The good news is that even if you are in your 60s, you can still take control of your health if you make positive changes in your lifestyle. You don't have to wait until you get sick to start worrying. Maintaining a reasonable diet, exercising regularly, controlling blood pressure and cholesterol, and taking care of your mental health are key factors in maintaining good health and preventing dangerous diseases. Stroke and cerebrovascular accident, for example, are among the dangerous diseases that cause many people to face serious consequences, from loss of mobility to severe mental damage. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death in the elderly, and almost all of these problems are related to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and a sedentary lifestyle. Diabetes, one of the most common diseases in the elderly, causes many serious cardiovascular and neurological complications. Not only that, osteoporosis makes you susceptible to bone fractures, even with minor impacts, seriously affecting mobility and quality of life. Meanwhile, Alzheimer's disease progresses silently, impairing memory and thinking ability, making the elderly unable to take care of themselves and affecting family relationships. These diseases not only affect physical health, but also have a strong impact on the mental health of the elderly, making them susceptible to depression and loneliness. So how can you prevent these diseases and not be among the 80% of elderly people with a disease? The answer lies in your daily habits. A healthy diet, regular exercise, stress management, and regular health checkups are the most important factors in preventing and controlling diseases. This will not only help you live longer, but also live healthy, independent, and energetic. In this article, we will provide you with important knowledge about 5 common diseases in the elderly and how to prevent them. Let's explore practical measures to stay healthy and enjoy life after 60. Start your healthcare journey today for a long, healthy, and joyful life. 1. Cardiovascular disease, the main cause of stroke and cerebrovascular accident. Cardiovascular disease is one of the most common and dangerous diseases for the elderly. When we enter the age of 60, the risk of cardiovascular disease will increase significantly if there are no timely preventive measures. Cardiovascular disease includes many types, of which myocardial infarction, heart failure, high blood pressure, and stroke are the most dangerous. These are diseases that can lead to stroke or death if not treated and controlled properly. One of the biggest risk factors for cardiovascular disease is high blood pressure and high cholesterol, which can cause atherosclerosis, narrowing blood vessels, and reducing blood flow to vital organs, including the brain and heart. As a result, stroke or cerebrovascular accident can occur suddenly, causing serious and long-term damage. Therefore, controlling blood pressure and cholesterol is extremely important in preventing cardiovascular disease and stroke in the elderly. Why is cardiovascular disease dangerous for the elderly? With the aging of the body, blood vessels, and the heart gradually lose their elasticity and ability to function as efficiently as before. At that time, the arteries become stiff and narrow, blood circulation is affected, and the risk of high blood pressure increases. In addition, a major risk factor for the elderly is the accumulation of plaque in the blood vessels. These plaques cause blockages in the blood vessels, reducing blood flow to vital organs, especially the brain, causing stroke or cerebrovascular accident. Risk factors for cardiovascular disease in the elderly. To prevent cardiovascular disease, we need to understand the risk factors and how they affect cardiovascular health, so that we can change our lifestyle and diet appropriately to protect our health. causing blockages. This not only leads to stroke, but also increases the risk of myocardial infarction. Diabetes. People with type 2 diabetes are at increased risk of cardiovascular disease because high blood sugar can increase inflammation and damage blood vessels. This makes them more susceptible to atherosclerosis, leading to serious cardiovascular disease. Smoking and drinking. Nicotine in cigarettes increases blood pressure and bad cholesterol, while alcohol can dilate blood vessels and cause temporary increases in blood pressure. If left unchecked, both of these habits can lead to serious cardiovascular problems. Stress. Chronic stress can increase blood pressure and increase risk factors for cardiovascular disease. Prolonged stress can cause increased heart rate and blood pressure, creating an unhealthy environment for the cardiovascular system. 1.3. How to prevent cardiovascular disease and stroke. To prevent cardiovascular disease and reduce the risk of stroke, older adults need to take preventive measures and control risk factors. Here are some effective ways to protect your heart and prevent stroke. Control blood pressure. High blood pressure is the leading risk factor for stroke. You need to check your blood pressure regularly, and if your blood pressure is high, you need to take treatment measures as prescribed by your doctor, including changing your diet, increasing exercise, and, if necessary, using blood pressure-lowering drugs. Control cholesterol. Limit foods high in saturated fat and cholesterol such as fatty meats, butter, and processed foods. Eat plenty of vegetables, fruits, and whole grains to help reduce bad cholesterol and increase good cholesterol. Exercise regularly. Walking, cycling, swimming, or aerobic exercises help improve blood circulation, reduce blood pressure and cholesterol, and increase cardiovascular health. Exercising 30 minutes a day will help you maintain effective cardiovascular health. Reduce stress. Practice relaxation techniques such as meditation, yoga, or deep breathing to reduce stress and protect the cardiovascular system. Chronic stress can increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, so try to maintain a relaxed, comfortable spirit. Quit smoking and limit alcohol. If you smoke, find a way to quit completely. If you drink alcohol, limit your daily alcohol intake to avoid negative effects on the cardiovascular system. Maintain a reasonable weight. Being overweight is a major risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Eating healthy and exercising regularly will help you maintain a stable weight and reduce the risk of heart disease. 2. Stroke, the main cause of serious damage and how to prevent it. Stroke is one of the leading dangerous diseases for the elderly. It can cause serious damage, affecting mobility, language, and even life. As we age, our risk of stroke increases, especially if we do not control risk factors such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and cardiovascular problems well. A stroke occurs when there is a disruption in blood flow to the brain, causing a lack of oxygen and nutrients, leading to damage to brain cells. Therefore, stroke prevention is extremely important, especially for the elderly. 1. Common types of stroke and causes of the disease. Strokes can be divided into two main types: ischemic stroke and hemorrhagic stroke. Ischemic stroke. This type of stroke accounts for the majority of cases and occurs when there is a blockage in the blood vessels supplying blood to the brain. This blockage is usually caused by plaque, fat, cholesterol, and other cells, or blood clots forming in the blood vessels. When a blood vessel is blocked, the brain does not receive enough oxygen and nutrients, leading to damage to brain cells. Hemorrhagic stroke. This is a less common but very dangerous type of stroke. Hemorrhagic stroke occurs when a blood vessel in the brain ruptures, causing bleeding and creating pressure on brain cells. Blood vessels can rupture due to long-term high blood pressure or weakening of the blood vessel walls. 2. Risk factors that increase the risk of stroke. The main risk factors for stroke are high blood pressure. High blood pressure is the leading risk factor for stroke. When blood pressure is high, it puts pressure on the walls of blood vessels, making them more likely to rupture or become blocked, leading to a stroke. Controlling blood pressure is very important to prevent stroke. 3. Diabetes, a major health hazard after age 60. Type 2 diabetes is one of the most common and serious diseases for the elderly. The disease not only affects the body's metabolic functions, but also causes many serious complications, such as cardiovascular disease, stroke, blindness, and kidney failure. In particular, diabetes can significantly increase the risk of diseases related to blood circulation, thereby increasing the risk of stroke and cerebrovascular accident. Therefore, controlling diabetes is very important to protect health and prevent dangerous complications. Why does diabetes increase the risk of stroke and cardiovascular problems? Diabetes directly affects blood circulation and can damage blood vessels in the body. When you have diabetes, high blood sugar levels in the body make blood vessels vulnerable to damage and hardening, reducing blood circulation. Complications from diabetes can lead to stroke and cerebrovascular accident through the following mechanisms. High blood pressure. People with diabetes often have high blood pressure, and high blood pressure is a major risk factor for stroke. High blood pressure can increase the pressure on blood vessels, easily leading to damage to blood vessels in the brain. Atheroma and blood vessel blockage. Diabetes increases inflammation and cholesterol buildup in the arteries, leading to atherosclerosis. When the arteries are blocked, it restricts blood flow to important parts of the body, especially the brain, causing stroke. Blood clot formation. Diabetes can increase the stickiness of platelets, creating blood clots that can travel to the brain and block blood vessels, leading to stroke. How to prevent diabetes and reduce the risk of stroke. To reduce the risk of diabetes and related complications, especially stroke and cerebrovascular accident, the elderly need to take effective measures to prevent and control diabetes. Here are some ways you can apply to protect your health. A. Maintain a reasonable weight. Overweight and obesity are major risk factors for type 2 diabetes. When the body has excess fat, especially belly fat, the body becomes resistant to insulin, increasing the risk of diabetes. Therefore, maintaining a reasonable weight is one of the effective preventive measures. Lose weight slowly. A healthy diet combined with regular exercise will help you lose weight safely. Losing weight helps improve the body's ability to use insulin and reduce the risk of diabetes. Monitor your weight. You should check your weight regularly to see if you are maintaining a reasonable weight. Measuring your BMI, body mass index, is also a useful way to assess your overall health. B. Healthy eating and blood sugar control. A healthy diet plays an important role in controlling blood sugar levels and preventing diabetes. People with diabetes need to eat foods that help maintain stable blood sugar and prevent sudden increases in blood sugar. Limit foods containing refined sugar. Foods such as candy, sugary soft drinks, and processed foods that are high in refined sugar can quickly increase blood sugar. You should avoid these foods and replace them with fresh fruit or whole grains. Increase fiber. Foods rich in fiber, especially whole grains, vegetables, and fruits, help regulate blood sugar levels and slow down the absorption of sugar into the blood. 4. Osteoporosis, a worrying risk after age 60, and effective prevention methods. Osteoporosis is a common disease in the elderly, especially postmenopausal women. This is a condition in which bones lose density and structure, making them weak and brittle. Osteoporosis not only affects the quality of life, but also increases the risk of fractures, especially in areas such as the spine, hips, and wrists. In particular, osteoporosis can cause serious complications if not detected and treated promptly. Therefore, preventing and treating osteoporosis is an important part of ensuring a healthy life after age 60. Why is osteoporosis dangerous for the elderly? Osteoporosis is a silent and gradual disease that often has no obvious symptoms until a fracture occurs. Risk factors for osteoporosis include age, gender, genetics, a diet low in calcium and vitamin D, and a sedentary lifestyle. For older adults, osteoporosis can cause serious consequences such as bone fractures. As bone density decreases, bones become more fragile, even with minor impacts. The areas most susceptible to bone fractures in older adults are the spine, hips, and wrists. Fractures can cause pain, reduced mobility, and reduced quality of life. Back pain. Osteoporosis can cause chronic back pain problems, especially when the vertebrae become weak and collapsed. This can make it difficult for older adults to move around and perform daily activities. Reduced mobility. Fractures or back pain can reduce mobility in older adults, which can affect their ability to care for themselves and participate in social activities. reducing their quality of life. Risk factors for osteoporosis. Some factors can increase the risk of osteoporosis in older adults. Age. As we age, the ability to rebuild bones decreases. After age 30, bone formation begins to slow down and bone loss increases. This is why osteoporosis is more common in older adults. Gender. Women, especially after menopause, are at higher risk of osteoporosis than men. The decline in estrogen after menopause reduces the ability to retain calcium in the bones. A diet low in calcium and vitamin D. Calcium is the main mineral in bones, and vitamin D helps the body absorb calcium. A lack of calcium and vitamin D can reduce bone density and weaken bones. Sedentary lifestyle. Lack of exercise and physical activity can reduce bone strength and durability. Activities such as walking, yoga, or lightweight training help maintain bone density and reduce the risk of osteoporosis. Genetics. If someone in your family has osteoporosis, you will have a higher risk of osteoporosis. In particular, if your mother or sister has had a fracture, you may also be susceptible to this disease. Stimulants. Smoking and drinking alcohol can also reduce bone density. So to prevent osteoporosis, you need to give up these habits. Effective ways to prevent osteoporosis. To prevent osteoporosis and reduce the risk of fractures, the elderly can take some effective preventive measures. Here are some important ways to protect bones and reduce the risk of osteoporosis. A. Eat enough calcium and vitamin D. Calcium and vitamin D play an important role in maintaining bone health. Calcium helps increase bone density, while vitamin D helps the body absorb calcium better. Calcium-rich foods. Foods such as milk, yogurt, cheese, salmon, and green vegetables are excellent sources of calcium for the body. Vitamin D-rich foods, salmon, mushrooms, and vitamin D supplements, such as fish oil and eggs, help increase vitamin D for the body. In addition, you can also expose yourself to sunlight so that your body can synthesize vitamin D. B. Exercise regularly. Exercise helps improve muscle strength and bone density, especially low-impact exercises such as walking, yoga, swimming, and lightweight training. These exercises not only help strengthen bones, but also help you maintain flexibility and increase mobility. Walking. This is a simple but very effective exercise in maintaining bone density. Yoga and Pilates. These exercises help increase flexibility and improve bone density. C. Maintain a healthy weight. Being overweight or obese puts extra stress on your joints, especially your knees, and increases your risk of osteoporosis. Maintaining a healthy weight helps reduce stress on your bones and joints and improves your overall health. Eat a healthy diet. Eat nutritious foods, especially whole grains, vegetables, and fruits, to maintain a healthy weight. D. Avoid factors that damage your bones. Habits like smoking and drinking alcohol can weaken your bones. Smoking reduces the absorption of calcium and reduces bone flexibility. Drinking too much alcohol also weakens bone structure. Therefore, giving up these habits is very important to maintain bone health. 5. Alzheimer's disease and dementia risks and prevention. Alzheimer's disease and related dementias are common and serious diseases in the elderly, directly affecting the quality of life and the ability to care for themselves. Alzheimer's disease is a form of degenerative neurological disorder that causes brain cells to gradually die, leading to memory loss, impaired thinking ability, and cognitive impairment. It is the leading cause of dementia in the elderly and one of the biggest mental health concerns in this age group. However, new studies have shown that Alzheimer's prevention is completely possible through changes in lifestyle, diet, and maintaining healthy habits. Why are Alzheimer's disease and memory loss dangerous for the elderly? Alzheimer's disease not only affects the ability to remember information, but also weakens cognitive abilities, decision-making, and communication skills. This makes the patient lose the ability to care for himself, is easily confused, and can cause severe confusion. In particular, as the disease progresses, the patient may not recognize family members, cannot perform daily tasks, and gradually loses the ability to communicate with people around them. In addition to the mental impact, Alzheimer's disease also seriously affects family relationships and social functioning. Alzheimer's patients often feel lonely, isolated, and depressed because they cannot participate in social activities as before. Therefore, Alzheimer's is not only a disease that affects the patient, but also directly affects the loved ones around them. Risk factors for Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease can develop due to a number of risk factors, including genetics. If someone in your family has Alzheimer's disease, you may be at higher risk for the disease. Genetic factors play a role in the development of Alzheimer's disease, especially in people with the APOE4 gene, a gene associated with increased risk. Age. Age is an important factor in the development of Alzheimer's disease. The older you are, the higher your risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Most people with Alzheimer's are over 65, and the risk doubles every 5 years. Unhealthy diet. People who eat a diet high in fat, low in fruits and vegetables, and lacking in nutrients essential for the brain are at higher risk for Alzheimer's. A diet lacking in omega-3s, vitamin E, and antioxidants may increase the risk of memory loss. Lack of exercise. Studies show that lack of exercise or no exercise increases the risk of cognitive decline. We cannot avoid aging, but the important thing is how to prevent this process from causing us to suffer from dangerous diseases that are common in the elderly. When entering the age of 60, the body begins to undergo many inevitable changes. Bones and joints gradually weaken, the immune system declines, and body functions do not work as effectively as before. However, one worrying thing is that diseases that are common in the elderly, especially cardiovascular